Lata, thank you very much for being here today. You are the head of capital markets for JLL here in India. And I compare India with other markets now, and it's absolutely different. It not only feels as a different country, but a different planet because you hear so many markets, so negative, but here in India, it looks like you are going to have the best, probably 10 years is ahead of you. Do you agree with that? Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gustavo. And yes, and in fact, as I mentioned in my the session that we had as well, is that India feels completely divorced from what the rest of the world is at currently, and even going forward, the mood is very, very positive. So I agree with you. There's a lot of action here, and I guess there were a lot of fundamental stuff which didn't really get done, which I think is slowly getting this. And so there was a lag of investments here, which I think people are just catching up to. And I think post COVID, things have just come back in a great thing. And the fundamentals are looking good. We've now moved to becoming the fifth largest economy in the world, soon to move to a third, in fact, fourth or third, depending on whom you're talking to. So, and the fundamentals are good. The companies are performing well. The people are coming back and spending money. So, I guess all the indicators are good. And as JLL, as an advisor to this particular sector, I'm very excited.
Do you see any risk on the horizon?
Obviously, we are not divorced from what happens around the world, okay? Because we are dependent on capital flows. It's still a capital-starved country. There are dislocations here, which I think, if you have foreign capital completely stopping, obviously it will have an effect on our growth. But I don't think that's kind of completely stopped because I think there's enough capital around the world or liquidity around the world. I think people have paused on their investments into the country. But if you look at the horizon and look at the options that you have to invest, India remains a compelling destination for capital. So I would think it's a pause for the short term. And, unless a major event which we cannot
Of course,
predict today, otherwise I would think we are in a good space.
And let's imagine you are a foreign investor coming to Mumbai or to India.
Yeah.
And the foreign investor will ask you, where is the best opportunities or where are the best opportunities? Are the opportunities related with a specific asset class, specific location? What would you do?
One of the asset classes which has actually caught the imagination of everybody and have done very, very well is the residential class, right? However, I'm also conscious of the fact that most long-term capital look for income-generating properties to invest in, and annuity income kind of properties to generate. And our residential business is primarily built for sale model, right? So it is a cash flowing business. So anybody who's interested in putting money into a cash flowing business finds this as an interesting opportunity. But the demographics and the way the markets have panned out and continues to pan out, I think it still continues to remain a very attractive area to invest in. And this primarily, when I talk about resident, talking about the main cities. I think when you have a first-time foreign investor coming into the country, unlikely that they would go into tier 2 or tier 3 towns. So I would say for residential, the larger towns, I am still extremely bullish about the office space. But and especially if we believe the kind of headwinds that the Western market is facing, offshoring and global capability centers being set up by some of the really big financial services business or tech companies will continue to be India will be the space for which they would come down to. And I am of the opinion that office will continue to remain an interesting opportunity.
But do you see offices as an opportunity in general, or is the opportunity related with co-working?
Co-working is still, I think, still a fledgling business. I think pure office, just as office as well, given the talent and given the age of the talent and the kind of profile that we have in the country, I guess office continues to be a compelling, although it is very contrarian. If you look at what's happening in the rest of the world, people are assessing, ho- but so were they assessing retail, right? The retail shopping center and mall business, which has done by far extremely well. And that's one sector which has done equally well in the big centers as well as tier 2 and tier 3 towns. So, in fact, it actually gives you it's probably a proxy for the demographic and the kind of profile and the kind of aspirations of the Indian people, right? So it's the spending capability, the availability of, people wanting to, in the small towns, be like people who live in a bigger town. So it's also aspirational in many ways. So you found the actual footfall and spending going up in tier 2, tier 3 cities, even in malls. So worldwide, that is really not the case. I think retail and shopping centers people don't want to look at, but that has actually changed here, right? And of course, given our focus on industrial and probably the lack of grade A logistics space or the entire supply chain space, I guess that sector continues to be of interest, and that is backed by capital continue to come in on that sector. I don't think there has been any stoppage in that aspect, right? So I think that, I guess, will continue. People have different views on it. People believe that probably the valuations at which things are getting done may not give a great return, but I think capital seems to be interested, and it's all part linked to the growth story that India is really. And of course, things like your hotels, your entire that particular space is also going very well, and that also is an all. So I think all in all, there is no sector, depending on what is your
The
risk
right
appetite.
opportunity.
Yeah, what is your risk appetite and what is it that you really want to do? I think there are opportunities in every category of sector and in different parts of the country.
Very interesting.
I didn't mention DC. Data centers is also, but it's a new age game. I think real estate is a very small part of the entire business. That business needs to be done very differently. It's more tech so I guess there's a lot of value on an operating platform. So real estate is a small portion. I think it's about being able to layer it with other stuff, which really will be the differentiating business. So I don't see it as a pure play real estate business. It's more infrastructure, it's more operations, and there are people trying to play that in a different manner.
Lata, thank you very much. Very insightful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.